From LBC, cases like that highlight the lunacy. Nick Ferrari can't believe that a benefits cheat was given £24,000 and a BMW at a time when limited defence spending is exposing the UK's fragility. The only reason this fat, geggy knobhead can't believe this is because he's not a real journalist and he hasn't been paying attention for the last 40 years. I used to just casually peruse the newspaper while I was having my breakfast when I was a lad, and I remember seeing stories about this. Rampant, brazen benefits fraud have been happening in the UK for decades, probably ever since benefits were first invented, because humans, being duplicitous creatures, especially the fat, lazy ones, have been scamming benefits since they were introduced. It's a reason why people like me have argued that they're not a good idea, and they motivate people to lead short, miserable lives, because instead of having a career and getting some confidence and some meaning in their lives from getting out of bed at the same time every day and going and doing something useful with themselves, they just sit, often on a deck chair in the street for some reason in council estates up north, eating toast, drinking tea and watching Jeremy Kyle when they should be doing something useful. So out of interest, I googled this story. You're not going to like what I found. It's not a new phenomena, but it's another amusing case of it. So we'll have a read and we'll have a laugh, and I'll explain to you why, if you want to have a society where the likes of Mick Philpott aren't considered Father of the Year, bidding the vast majority of our benefit schemes is a good thing for me, you, and everybody else who's living off Special Brew Super Kings and Turkey Twizzlers. Right, first up, let's listen to Nick.
A woman who claimed disability benefits on the ground that her anxiety was so bad she could not leave the house.
I will stop you there. I'll stop you there. Anxiety. Anxiety should not be something you can claim benefits for. I know that's crazy in 2026 when everything gets pathologized, but you know it, I know it. It's preposterous. It's preposterous. Back in the day, when the world made sense, you can only get benefits for disability if you, come off a motorbike and snap both your legs. Now, you tell them you feel a little bit miserable and they'll let you claim benefits. 5 seconds in, and anybody with a fully functioning brain can see the lunacy, because anyone can tell you they're upset or depressed or anxious. That's not a high enough standard, is it? Honestly, if I was giving out benefits, if you didn't come in looking like Stephen Hawking, or you had quato growing out of your chest, like the bloke off Total Recall, you'd be getting your lazy arse to work. It's preposterous that this was ever on the books. Anyway, sorry, I interrupted. We'll let him finish before I throw a wobbler.
Shared a video of herself ziplining on a holiday in Mexico. Catherine Whelan, who's 33, was spared jail after pleading guilty to fraudulently claiming more than £23,000 in benefits. She claimed PIP, citing post-traumatic stress disorder, emotionally unstable personality disorder, and depression, and was approved for enhanced payments, as well as the mobility scheme, which gave her a BMW saloon. And there are photographs of her ziplining in Mexico. We gave her all but £24,000 and a motor car. Meanwhile, we haven't got enough kit or ships to defend. I'm telling you, the £310 billion that is in the welfare budget, a lot of it will be legitimately spent. People in real need, I get that. But cases like that highlight the lunacy. We have got to cut the welfare budget and increase the defence budget.
Right. Nick was being very, very generous there with his little spiel, wasn't he? There, he said a lot of it is going to be legitimate. No, it's definitely not a lot of it. Definitely not a lot of it. Most of it is going to be fraudulent. I've seen the numbers. I've ranted about this on several live streams. I've seen the numbers. You remember this one, don't you? You remember this one? More than 1.4 million people claiming mental health benefits. Apparently, one PIP application was rubber stamped every 3 minutes last year. Brilliant. A record 531 people a day were granted welfare benefits for mental health problems. Analysis of last year's PIP figures reveals. Same old Labour. Soon as they get into power, the wet lefties, the do-gooders, it's a free-for-all if you're a parasite. Ticks, leeches and mosquitoes all round the nation celebrate. They have street parties when Labour get in because they know they won't have to do a single day's work for their next bumper portion of microchips or box of Lambrini. It's unbelievable. And he says most or a lot of. It's not a lot of. You tell me, right, of the 531 people a day that were granted welfare benefits for mental health problems, what do you think? What do you think are actually legitimate? It'll be like 11 of 531. People who have like severe trauma. PTSD used to be almost exclusively for like soldiers or victims of horrific crimes. Now, someone was rude to me. Are you having a laugh? You wouldn't get a bricklayer from Hartlepool turn up to work and say, can't work today, boss. Why not, Dave? Yeah, feeling a bit down and that. Pick the hod up, Dave, you absolute shithouse, is how that conversation would go. Anyway, I still haven't got to the story, have I? Goring woman defrauded 23k in benefits and lived a lavish lifestyle. There she is. You knew she'd have a fat ass. You knew she'd have filler in her lips. And you knew she'd look like she drew her eyebrows on with a frozen dog shit. They're all coming off a production line, these parasites. Catherine Wyland entered a claim for personal independence payments, which help people who have long-term physical and mental health conditions or disabilities. Wyland made the claim on the basis of mental health issues, including PTSD. How many Taliban fighters have got you in a headlock? How many? How many shells have been fired at you? None. PTSD and depression. Unbelievable. She also got the mobility scheme and got a BMW saloon. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. CBS prosecutor Sarah Thorne told the DWP she was unable to make any short journeys alone and would have panic attacks and didn't like loud noise. But then she went on a 3-week holiday to Mexico where she went ziplining and visited 60 pubs and clubs. She also said there was a lack of self-care and she was seen with false nails, fake tan and fake eyelashes. What did I tell you about them coming off the Jordan fanny like a yawning hippo production line? What did I tell you? I love that at the end. It was heard that she paid back 120 quid of the 24 grand she stole, but she's repaying the amount from her benefits. So she's not repaying it, is she? She's getting less free money, slightly less free money every week than she will be anyway. That's not paying it back, is it? Paying it back is when you toil to earn money and then you pay it to someone. Us paying your bills, fatty, isn't you paying anything back, is it? Okay, so I've had enough of this. The simple fact is, the government is unwieldy and incompetent. That's why any benefits are a bad idea. Yes, I'll concede we do have to have some for the genuinely needy. But I'd go so far as to say almost every claimant for mental health should be slung straight off the list and sent back to work. Going to work's better for you than sitting on your ass all day. Everybody knows it. You don't think you want to work if you work for a living, but you realise you get a lot out of it. I've done plenty of jobs I didn't like, but I knew I got a lot out of it. Exercise, routine, socialising. There's a lot of positives to going to work. Do them a favour and strip them all of the benefits. How's about that? Almost nobody getting mental health benefits should be getting them. I'm telling you, it's going to be staggering, the level of fraud that's going on. But I'm sure you lot pay attention so you'll know, as I do, that this is all part of the plan. The state wants you to look like this. Fat, rubber-faced, depressed. They want you to be this way. Because if you've got no confidence, no self-reliance, no self-respect, no dignity, stoicism, you don't even know the meaning of the word. They want you on benefits because when you're on benefits, you do as you're told. They tell you how to live your life. And if you argue too much, well, they might say, ooh, we might have to stop your benefits, and then you'll do as you're told. Embracing a Spartan lifestyle, living to your means, and getting out there and doing something useful with your time is how you break free of the state's grip. Your brain is like your biceps. It needs to be worked. They want you to be miserable. That's why the media promotes polyamory and pill popping, because they want you to be fat, lonely, depressed, anxious, living off the state. Get a grip. I've got plenty of money. I've worked my whole life. I don't spend it. I don't do anything. I go to the gym. I dress like a tramp. I drive a piece of shit car. I don't buy jewellery. I stay fit and I stay focused. I'm entirely self-reliant, and I've never spent a penny I didn't earn, because I would rather rip my own heart out and eat it than go cap in hand to some maggot civil servant and say, yes, sir, no, sir, 3 bags full, sir. Parasites like this think they're winning, but they aren't. If you want to be happy, earn your crust, do something useful, and please, don't beg to be a victim. These people are losers. They say a brave man only dies once. A coward dies 1,000 deaths. A coward dies every time he looks in the mirror. And these people, one day, the millions and millions of parasites leeching off the system in the UK, one day they will gaze in the mirror and it will all come crashing home. No self-respect, no dignity, no chance. Or to put it a better way, fucking losers. Anyway, that's just my opinion. If you think everybody on the rock and roll is definitely being honest and we should expand the welfare state, because that definitely won't collapse your entire economy and have you living in a nation full of dole, wallers, relative rattlers, mutants and inbreds, let me know in the comments. If you think that, you probably are one of the aforementioned mutants and you've got some sort of specially adapted keyboard. Yeah, you have to strap a dildo to your forehead and headbutt the keys to type me a message. But do your best, and I'll see you all soon. All right? See you later. Cheers.